Okay, so as you can see here on this next slide, this is a picture of what somebody drew the breastplate connected with the shoulder pads look like. I'm not going to say I agree with this picture 100% because from the way they did it, we remember the very first three was an emerald, sapphire, and I believe turquoise, if I'm not mistaken. But those three aren't on this picture. They're in a different order. So I'm not sure if the way they did it was straight up and down. Yeah, I think that's how they did it, was up and down instead of them doing it lengthwise and then this way. We'll continue. Verse 23, Exodus 28, verse 23. And he shall make 2 rings of gold for the breastplate, and shall put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And he shall put the 2 cords of gold in the 2 rings which are at the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 with the 2 cords you fasten with the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the shoulder garment in the front. Okay, so you're going to make these 2 rings of gold for the breastplate. And you're going to put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And you shall put the 2 cords of the gold in the 2 rings, which are at the ends of the breastplate. All right, let's continue. Verse 26. And he shall make 2 rings of gold, and shall put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate and the edge of it, which is on the inner side of the shoulder garment. And he shall make 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 shoulder pieces underneath the shoulder garment on the front of it, close to the seam above the embroidered band of the shoulder garment. Okay, this is kind of hard for me to understand because I'm a visual learner, not a read it to me and I get it. So I'm pretty sure this is how you're going to make these gold chains to connect all of this stuff together. So it's basically one piece, a one-piece garment you're putting on when you have the shoulder pieces and the breastplate. You're not going to have to put on the breastplate and then put on the shoulders. No, you'll just all do it in one. Verse 28. And they bind the breastplate by the means of its rings to the rings of the shoulder garment, using the blue cord, so that it is above the embroidered band of the shoulder garment, so that the breastplate does not come loose from the shoulder garment. Again, like I said, this is a one-piece item. It's not going to be 2 separate items. It's something that's connected all together as one. Verse 29. And Aaron shall bear the names of the sons of Israel on the breastplate of the right ruling over his heart, when he goes into the set-apart place for the remembrance before Yahuwah continually. Again, this breastplate, these shoulder garments, they are beautiful, yes, but in no way were they a form of worship. I have seen, I don't know a person's heart, but I have seen where in today's time people have tried to take this same idea of a breastplate, and they're a lot smaller, but they try to mimic what was on this breastplate. I'm not telling you you shouldn't do that, but you should not in no form worship that or think that you are holier or more set apart because of wearing a certain item. That in no way gives you no authority over anything. That is not the point. The point of wearing that is a form of remembrance. So if you do have something of that sort, such as a a little garment or a little piece of jewelry that you wear, guys, it's really no big deal. If it helps you remember the 12 tribes of Israel, good on you. I don't really see the point. However, I do not think that we should in any way or form worship something that was created. Let's continue. And into the breastplate of the right ruling you shall put the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be on the heart of Aaron when he goes before Yahuwah. And Aaron shall bear the right ruling of the children of Israel on his heart before Yahuwah continually. Okay, so this is so Aaron will have them in his head. When he goes up there and he is offering the sacrifices for these people, all of these people, all of us, all of the tribes, when he is offering his sacrifice for them, when he does that, he is remembering them. That's why they have him in front of his chest. It's a form of a breastplate. It's like kind of like you would see a rib protecting the heart. Same thing. You have this part. He wants for this to be over his heart as a form of remembrance. We are to remember what sin is. He is to remember, guys, I am coming out here and I could die, but you are in my heart. You are in my remembrance. I am thinking about you, and I am thinking about how if this sin offering does not get put forth, we are all dead. That is what is in Aaron's mind. That is what Aaron is thinking. It's not all about him anymore. It's now about all 12 different tribes. Even though he has to do sacrifices for himself, which we'll get into that in just a few minutes, so I'm not going to get into that. And he shall make the robe of the shoulder garment of all blue. Verse 32. And the opening for his head shall be in the middle of it, a woven binding all around its openings, like the opening in a scaled armor, so that it does not tear. And on its hem you shall make pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet material, all around its hem, and bells of gold between them all around. A golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate on the hem of the robe all around. And the opening for his head shall be in the middle of it, a woven binding all around its opening, like the opening in its scaled armor, so that it does not tear. And on its hem you shall make pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet material all around the hems. And it shall be upon Aaron to attend in, and its sounds shall be heard when he goes into the set-apart place before Yahuwah, and when he comes out, so he does not die. And he shall make a plate of clean gold and engrave on it, like the engravings of the signet, set apartness to Yahuwah. A pomegranate and a bell all the way around. You have the pomegranate and the bell all the way around, because when Aaron went in to do the sacrifice, when he went into the most holy place, the set-apart place before Yahuwah, when he walked in, people needed to know what he was doing. They needed to hear this chinkling, 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 chinkling. You ever hear a little kid who's learning how to walk, and they put those little squeakers in their shoes? And so you hear squeak, 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 and then it stops, and you're like, where'd they go? Squeak, 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 squeak. Well, that's the same thing with Aaron. He had to hear him. People had to hear, because if he fell and died, they needed to know that. If he was dead, then they needed to pull him out. Let's continue on verse 37. And you shall put it on a blue cord, and it shall be on the turban. It is to be on the front of the turban. Now this is the golden plate that he had made of clean gold. It was a kind of like a crown looking thing. It went over like right above his front lip part, and then the turban was around, and in front of it was, to be set apart to Yahuwah. And so this was in the front of the turban. Now let's go to verse 38. And it shall be on the forehead of Aaron, and Aaron shall bear the guilt of the set-apart gifts which the children of Israel set apart in all their set-apart gifts, and it shall be on his forehead for acceptance for them before Yahuwah. So when he goes, I'm so sorry, my eye is just really bugging me now. So when he goes before the Almighty, he's got this crown to let him know, I'm coming to you on behalf of all of these people. Not just one man, not just one person, but all of the children of Israel. That's why you have on the shoulder pads, on the breastplate, it's a remembrance. It's to remind Yahuwah of these are the people who have chosen to follow after me. Because we remember when he gave the commands, it was all an agreement. It was a covenant between him and his people. And they, all 12 of those tribes, said, yes, Yahuwah, we agree to whatever you say. We're going to follow your commands. We're going to do what you say. You will be our king and we will be your people. That is his remembrance. He's remembering every single one of these people. So whenever Aaron walks in, it's, hey, this is who I'm representing. You ever see a person who maybe has a Boston Red Sox hat on? I don't know why I'm thinking of Boston Red Sox, because I know nothing about baseball, and I think it's baseball, and I hope it's baseball, because if it's not baseball, I'm going to feel stupid. But you have all of these different, the Dallas Cowboys, I know that's a football team. So you have people who wear the gear on their forehead. They'll have a baseball cap and it says OU, which, I mean, some people go really ballistic and really crazy with whatever team they support. But that is a sign to every person around here to know, hey, that person's an OU fan. That person's a Texas A&M fan. Oh, that person is a Texas Rangers fan or a Boston Red Sox fan. That's how you know. Well, this is how Yahuwah knew that these people were his. Because they had it written, Aaron the high priest had it written on his forehead. Let's continue on verse 39. And ye shall wave a long shirt of fine linen, and shall make the turban of fine linen, and ye shall make the girdle of woven works. And make a long shirt for Aaron's sons, and ye shall make them girdles for them, and ye shall make the turbans for them, for esteem and comeliness. Verse 41. Then ye should put them on Aaron your brother, and on his sons with him, and ye shall anoint them, and shall ordain them, and set them apart, and they shall serve as priests to me. Verse 42. Did you want to say something?
Oh, I think that fits really good with not being ordained by quote-unquote
The doctrines of man.
there you go, by a man-made doctrine or dogma.
Mm-hmm.
How about just being ordained by the Ruach HaKodesh?
Yeah, I agree. I think so many times it gets to people's head. Well, I am an ordained minister, or I am an ordained reverend, or I'm an ordained priest. I have been ordained to do this. Well, you can be ordained, but in reality, would you not rather the Almighty ordain you? I mean, so many men have ways to do things that they think is right, but it's not according to what Yahuwah says. And that's where I think people fall short, is they want to get rid of all of these positions or callings that they're out there, because there are pastors, preachers, there are teachers, there are evangelists, there are apostles, there are those things, prophets, there are all of these different things. I didn't mention all of them because I don't have them all memorized, but I know that is still in effect for today. However, what happens is people take that with their dogma, their religious beliefs, and they create something that becomes the doctrine of man. When we go into the doctrine of man, we have fallen way off the edge, have gone into a whole nother direction that our Father, frankly, just didn't want us to go into. And here we are today, living in a country that has so many different religions, so many different beliefs, that none of us know what we believe anymore. That's why when we study Torah, we are learning how to follow after the Almighty, because He's given us His instruction book on what He wants. When we take His instruction book out of it, throw it out the window, then we are falling away. But whenever we take His Torah and learn from His Torah and take His prophets, learn from the prophets, take the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, and combine them together the way He intended, then we fall away from all of the doctrine of man. Although we know that mistranslation with Scripture has been put into effect, we've had some religious organizations not want for people to go into understanding the Torah, but the truth is the truth, and the truth can only do one thing to us, and that is set us free. Set us free from dogma, set us free from religious beliefs, and set us free from paganisms altogether. Let's continue. Verse 43. And they shall be on Aaron and on his sons when they come into the tent of meeting, and when they come near the altar to attend the set-apart place, so they do not bear crookedness and die. A law forever to him and to his seed after him. All right, this is a picture of what the whole garments would look like. See the turban on his head. There is the plate of gold over his head. Then you see the breastplate, shoulder blades, and then you have the actual Let me look real fast so I can show you the girdle. You have the tunic, and then you have the robe of the ephod, which is like almost a apron looking thing. So you can see this all in this image right here. Let's go to Exodus 29 verse 1. And this is the task you shall do to them to set them apart to serve me as priests. Take 1 young bull and 2 rams, perfect ones, an unleavened bread, an unleavened cake mixed with oil, and unleavened wafers anointed with oil. Make these of wheat flour. And ye shall put them in 1 basket, and bring them in the basket, along with the bull and the 2 rams. Then ye shall bring Aaron, his sons, to the door of the tent of meeting, and wash them with water. They are to make sure that their fleshly body is actually cleansed before they go into the actual set-apart place. Let's continue in verse 5. And ye shall take the garments, and shall put on Aaron the long shirt, and the robe of the shoulder garments, and the shoulder garment, and the breastplate, and shall gird him with the embroidered band, and the shoulder garment. And shall put the turban on his head, and shall put the set-apart sign of dedication on the turban. And shall take the anointing oil, and pour it on his head, and anoint him. Then ye shall bring his sons, and put long shirts on them, and shall gird them with girdles. Aaron and his sons, and put the turbans on them, and the priesthood shall be theirs for an everlasting law. So you shall ordain Aaron and his sons. Verse 10. And ye shall bring near the bull before the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on the head of the bull, and ye shall slaughter the bull before Yahuwah by the door of the tent of meeting. Some people want to recreate the tent of meeting. They want to create the altar. They want to sacrifice again. They want to do all of this stuff again because they want to get back to where they originally came from. But because we already have the Messiah, we no longer need to put our hands at the head of a bull and tell him our sins so that he can forgive us, or so that the blood of the bull can give us the form of atonement for the sin that we have accomplished. But because we are no longer under that, the fact of the matter is, you're not going to need, an altar. You're not going to need any of this stuff as we speak, because it's already been done. And it's sad for our brethren who do not believe in our Messiah, or who believed in our Messiah but turn their backs on him and follow after tradition of man. Guys, if that has happened to you, I just encourage you to repent, because there is only one Messiah, and it is Yehoshua HaMashiach. He is the Messiah of Messiahs. I guess he's the only Messiah. He is the King of Kings, and he was the sacrificial lamb for us. And because of that, we don't need a bull or a goat to give us atonement for our sin. Verse 12, and take some of the blood of the bull and put it on the horns of the altar with your finger, and pour all the blood beside the base of the altar. And ye shall take all the fat that covers the entrails and the appendages on the liver and the 2 kidneys and the fat that is on them, and burn them on the altar. But the flesh of the bull and its skin and its dung you shall burn with fire outside the camp. It is a sin offering. And take 1 ram, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on the head of the ram. And you shall slaughter the ram, and you shall take some of its blood and sprinkle it all around the altar. And cut the ram in pieces, and wash its entrails and its legs, and place them upon its pieces and on its head. And ye shall burn the entire ram on the altar, its burnt offering to Yahuwah. It is a sweet fragrance, an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. And ye shall take the 2nd ram, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on the heads of the ram. And ye shall slaughter the ram. Take some of the blood and put it on the right ear of Aaron, on the tip of the right ear of his sons, and on the thumb of their right hand, and on the big toe of their right foot. And sprinkle the blood all around on the altar. Now, do you remember the song, "Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see? Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear? For the Father up above, he is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see." I wonder if this has in reference to whenever you listen to something. The worst enemy that we have is our own mind. and the enemy comes in through our ears. I'm not saying literally, but he speaks to us and we hear what he is trying to say to us. So we can be moved in the direction that the enemy would want for us to be moved in by just a thought in our head that we can literally hear. So whenever he sprinkles this blood on his ear, I wonder if it has any reference to being careful to what you hear, what your mind is telling you, not being able to wander off, or even putting it on the right thumb of his hand. Whenever he touches something, be careful what you are touching. Remember that blood of that sacrificial lamb or goat or bull is on your hand. Remember that. On your big toe when you walk, wherever you go, is that going to be a place that's going to be pleasing to Yahuwah? Is that going to, when you touch something, is that going to be pleasing to Yahuwah? It's a sign that he is giving his people in this manner of Aaron, letting them know, what comes out of your ears, what you're hearing, be careful. What you touch, be careful. Where you go, be careful. Because no matter what happens, the enemy comes in and tries to twist things around, and it's so easy to get caught up in self-worship. But whenever you see that blood and remember, hey, it's like the song Carrie wrote, "Here I am again, putting my hand on the head of the lamb." And his blood is like wine, you just spill it. It's no big deal. But guys, if we remember to what we're listening to, is this going to be edifying to my body? Is this going to be edifying to the people around me? We have to be careful with what we hear. Not so much literally, but in our heads. It says to take each thought captive, anything that exalts itself higher than the Most High Elohim. Come on, guys, we have to think about what we're thinking on, what we're hearing in our head. If we hear constantly, you're a failure, you're never going to amount to nothing, you're this, you're that. If you constantly hear on that and dwell on that, that is what will happen. But if you're constantly keeping your ear to his word, meditating on what he says day and night, if you are shemaing, hearing and obeying what he is saying to you, then you don't have no fear of what man is going to say or what man does. You have the fear of the blood of the Lamb, of Messiah, what he says. That's so important for us to not get caught up in the thought pattern of it's all about me. No, it's not about us. It's about him. When we touch things, or whatever we place our hand on, too, putting the foot, the blood on his big toe, right toe. If you think about it, does Scripture not say everywhere you plant your foot is your territory? Is him putting the blood on his foot declaring that is Yahuwah's territory? Something to think about. Let's continue in verse 21. And he shall take some of the blood that is on the altar, some of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it on Aaron and his garments, and his sons, and on the garment of the sons with him. And he and his garments shall be set apart, and his sons and the garments of his sons with him. Verse 22. And he shall take the fat of the ram and the fat tail, and the fat that covers the entrails and the appendages on the liver, and the 2 kidneys of the fat on them, and the right thigh. It is for a ram of ordination. And 1 loaf of bread, 1 cake made with oil, 1 thin cake from the basket of the unleavened bread that is before Yahuwah. And you shall put all these in the hands of Aaron and in the hands of his sons, and you shall wave them a wave offering before Yahuwah. Then you shall take them from their hands and burn them on the altar as a burnt offering, as a sweet fragrance before Yahuwah. It is an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. Verse 26. And ye shall take the breast of the ram and Aaron's ordination and wave it, a wave offering before Yahuwah, and it shall be your portion. And from the ram of the ordination ye shall set apart the breast of the wave offering which is waved, and the thigh of the contribution which is raised, of that which is for Aaron, and of which is for his sons. And it shall be from the children of Israel for Aaron and his sons by a law forever, for it is a contribution. It is a contribution from the children of Israel from their peace offering, their contribution to Yahuwah. And the set apart garments of Aaron are for his sons after him, to be anointed in them, and to be ordained in them. The priest from his sons in his place puts them on for 7 days, and he enters the tent of meeting to attend in a set-apart place, and take the ram of ordination, and cook its flesh in its set-apart place. And Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram, and the bread that is in the basket by the door of the tent of meeting. And they shall eat those offerings with which the atonement was made, to ordain them, to set them apart. But let a stranger not eat them, because they are set apart. And if any of the flesh of the ordination offering or the bread be left until morning, then you shall burn it up what is left over. And if, verse 34, and if any of the flesh of the ordination offering or of the bread be left over until morning, then ye shall burn up what is left over. It is not eaten, because it is set apart. And so you shall do to Aaron and his sons according to all I have commanded you. 7 days you shall ordain them. And prepare a bull each day as a sin offering for atonement. And ye shall cleanse the altar when you make atonement for it, and ye shall not anoint it to set it apart. For 7 days ye shall make atonement for the altar, and set it apart, and the altar shall be most set apart. Whatever touches the altar is to be set apart. Exodus 29:38. And this is what you are to prepare on the altar: 2 lambs a year old daily continually. Prepare the one lamb in the morning, and the other lamb you prepare between the evenings. And 1/10 of an ephah of flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of pressed oil, and 1/4 of a hin of wine as a drink offering with the one lamb. I am really glad that we don't have to do this. I mean, yes, it's a beautiful thing. Yes, it's something that he put into motion. But it was hard. Very, very hard. It was hard to be sure that you were right and doing things that were pleasing to him. It was a scary scenario. It was scary because you could die. If you just let your sin, your flesh in for a minute, you could die. It wasn't an easy task. Because when people die, it hurts a lot of people. It doesn't just hurt the person who's dead. That person really didn't feel much after they're dead, but the person who is left behind, the wife, the children, the mother, the father, it's a painful thing. And they had to do this daily. 2 lambs a year old, they had to sacrifice it once in the morning, once in the afternoon. It's a serious matter. It's not something that should be taken lightly, and I think that today we don't take anything serious anymore. What Messiah did for us, it's beyond all of this. He took that blood so when our Father sees us, he sees us through that blood, and we are sweet fragrance to him. Verse 41. And prepare the other lamb between the evenings, and with it prepare the grain offering, the drink offering, as in the morning, for sweet fragrance, an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. A continual burning offering for your generations at the door of the meeting, tent of meeting before Yahuwah, where I shall meet with you to speak with you. And there I shall meet with the children of Israel, and it shall be set apart by my esteem. And I shall set apart the tent of meeting and the altar, and Aaron and his sons I set apart to serve me as priests to me. And I shall dwell in their midst of the children of Israel, and shall be their Elohim. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah, their Elohim, who brought them up out of the land of Mizraim, to dwell in their midst. I am Yahuwah, their Elohim. Yeah, and he said this twice. It's important. He is our Elohim. He is our only God. He's the one who brought us out of Egypt. He's the one who's taken us out of Babylon. We have crossed over. That's why we are Hebrews who believe in our Messiah. Because we've crossed from death to life. We've crossed over. And we know he is Yahuwah, our Elohim. We don't know it's not a foreign God or a God that is unknown to us. I remember back in when I was a child, I always wondered, I wonder what God's name is. Or I wonder if God's really big or if he's not as big as I think he's big. But I wonder if when I get there, if I'm going to be big like him. You know, just the innocent thoughts of a child. And here, I am able to experience, to know his name. Yeah, not everybody may agree with Yahuwah. And that's okay. You don't have to. You just have to believe. Everybody wants to say that they're right, but nobody just wants to believe anymore. Don't do that. Don't allow unbelief to stop you from getting a pleasure of using his name to give him the glory. Let's continue. Chapter 30, verse 1. Ye shall make an altar to burn incense on, and make it of arcata wood, and cubit long and a cubit wide. It is square, 2 cubits high, its horns of the same. And ye shall overlay its top and its sides all around, and its horns with clean gold, and ye shall make it for a molding of gold all around. And make 2 rings for it under the molding on both of its sides. Make them on 2 sides, and they shall be holders for the poles to lift with it. And ye shall make the poles of arcata wood. I can't say that. I always mess up on that one. And I can't ever, somebody tells me what it is, and I can't ever remember what they said it was. So forgive me if I say it wrong. And overlay them with gold. And ye shall put it before the veil, that is before the ark of the witness, before the lid of atonement, that is over the witness where I am to meet with you. And Aaron shall burn on it sweet incense morning by morning. As he tends the lamp, he shall burn incense on it. But when Aaron lights the lamps between the evening, he shall burn incense on it, a continual incense before Yahuwah throughout your generations. Do not offer strange incense on it, or a burnt offering, or a grain offering. Do not pour a drink offering on it. And Aaron shall make atonement upon its horns once a year with the blood of a sin offering of atonement. Once a year he makes the atonement upon it throughout your generations. It is most set apart to Yahuwah. You know, this table of incense, it says that he's going to go and put the blood of a sacrifice on the horns of it once a year. You know, I grew up a Christian, and I'll tell you what, once a year, I went up to that incense table and I asked Jesus into my heart again. I think every year I did it, because I was afraid he wasn't there. Guys, it's unnecessary. Stuff like that is just not necessary. He died for us one time. When you ask him in, you ask him in. It's your choice to walk out his Torah. I mean, we don't eventually get to see if we have accepted or have been saved until the end. But it's our goal and strive to follow after his Torah and to do what he's commanded us to do.